lights?
Be any collisions on the go?
Okay. Annunciator panel?
Door lights out, just hydraulic fault.
Alright, that's good. Flight controls?
Jeez. You're free, correct?
Okay. And cabin doors?
It's closed, locked, and lights out.
Okay. And alternate air doors will pass, ramped up will pass, pressurization should be set, put it at 1,000 feet, that's where it should be.
And set.
Okay, ground up is good, air conditioning is in
Circulate.
Okay. Lineup checklist, AC is off, transponder is coming on. Strobes.
They'll be on the go.
Alright, you check your heading indicator, I'll check mine.
Roger.
Anti-ice we don't need. Parking brake, check that it's off.
Check released.
Okay, and takeoff power to go.
Understood. Alright, my YouTube fans, Dad and I are heading up to Elmira. We just finished our checklist. We're going to be taking runway 260 at Orange County and straight out departure, picking up our IFR clearance in the air. We have Dad along. You can say hi, Dad.
Hello.
Alright, and we're just checking for traffic now. And we're going to take runway 26. So we'll make our announcement, we'll do the captain's briefing, and we'll be out of here.
Okay, you got one ahead of you rolling out on 26.
Yes, yeah.
Orange County automated advisory. Visibility better than 10 miles. Altimeter T9er.
Should be on runway 3, but whatever.
He's clearing, and we're clear of the approach.
Okay.
Orange County Traffic Chancellor 2744 X-rays departing runway 26 Orange County via straight out departure. Okay, standard departure briefing. Anything before 90 knots we abort. Over 90 knots with insufficient runway remaining, we'll land straight ahead or abort the takeoff. Correction, with sufficient runway remaining, we'll land straight ahead or abort the takeoff. Insufficient runway remaining, we're going to treat the problem as an in-flight emergency, run the checklist, do the memory items, and return to the airport as soon as possible. VFR departure, VFR return, 3,500 available, less than 3,500 required. Dry runway, no contaminants, no changes to operating procedures, no terrain considerations. Any questions?
No questions. Check your heading indicator with the runway.
Will do. IC 260 and IC runway 26.
Okay, set on the right. So we're set. We're good on the right.
1,500 RPM, mixtures up, pumps on, we'll go.
Okay, let's go. Right turn to 335.
Understood.
Why did you turn that back? I had it set to 335.
No, you didn't. Or I'm sorry, no, I moved it to 260. Mixtures on, pumps are low, you ready to go?
Good. Let's go. Airspeed's alive, 80 knots. Cross check, 90 knots. Yaw damper's coming on.
Thank you.
Gear, flaps, yaw damper.
Good engines.
Let's turn this off. Clear and right.
Raj, yaw damps on.
Yaw damper is on.
Orange County Traffic Chancellor 2744 X-rays turning right crosswind runway 26, be departing the pattern to the northwest Orange County.
Why don't you pull up the flight plan?
I will.
.335, 6,500. Aside.
Can you copy the clearance for me?
I will take care of it. New York, good morning, Chancellor 2744 X-ray.
44 X-ray, greetings to you. Let's set that transponder to 0314.
0314, yes sir. Looking for the IFR over Elmira.
Clear to Elmira, via proceed direct to Elmira.
Directly to Elmira, we can do that, thank you.
Cool. all my YouTube followers, we just leveled off at 10,000 feet a few minutes ago. Just finished setting cruise power and getting the airplane all cruised out. All the checklists are complete. Had a little bit of confusion on the way out with the instrument clearance, but we got that rectified quickly and got on our way. And now we've been cleared direct to our destination, so we're doing 180 knots across the ground at a true airspeed of about 193 knots, 76 miles to go, and we're doing it on 230 pounds per hour, which is a little under 40 gallons an hour. So we're doing it fairly economically, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
Economically and comfortably. And as I've told you guys in the past, I always try to add one fun fact, one operational or airplane related fun fact to my videos. So this one, we're going to talk for a minute about tweaking the power settings. So I know a lot of my my relatively small amount of subscribers just from taking a look at some of your channels, and I do appreciate every subscription, so thank you guys for subscribing. Some of you guys, like myself, are some flight simulator addicts, and anytime I can compare and contrast or bring a little bit of realism to the flight sim world, I like to do that. So in Flight Simulator, when you make power setting changes and you set a given power setting, it just kind of stays there no matter what you do. Whereas, and this is specifically talking about reciprocating engines, so piston engines, whereas in the real thing, especially with engines like these, with big 6-cylinder engines that are turbocharged, after you make a power setting change and you set your desired power setting, as the engine sort of settles in and the temperatures change and things like that, the power has a tendency, everything, the RPM, the manifold pressure, the fuel flows have a tendency after you set them to kind of wander around a little bit as they settle in. So for the first few minutes after you make your power reduction in cruise, you spend 5 or 10 minutes or so occasionally tweaking things just to get the power set right where you want it, because as it settles in, they tend to wander around a little bit.
There is an interdependency between fuel flow and manifold pressure, that as you tweak the manifold pressures to get them exactly where you want them, you'll have to readjust the fuel flows to get them where you want them, and ultimately get the EGTs where they should be.
So now we've settled down. We're flying a slightly reduced manifold pressure. It's cool out. We're getting a good ground speed. So usually we cruise at 32.5 inches of manifold pressure, and today we're cruising right around 31 inches, 31.5. And the typical cruise prop RPM at 2,400 RPM, and our typical cruise fuel flow of 115 pounds per hour per side. A lot of light twins, general aviation twins. I think, in fact, most people in general aviation fly their airplanes in gallons per hour. I've seen a few Twin Cessna guys that fly in gallons per hour, which never really made sense to me, only because the entire airplane is configured in pounds. So the fuel gauge is in pounds. You know, obviously all your weight and balance is, of course, in pounds. And the fuel totalizer is capable of showing pounds, so you can make it show gallons an hour or pounds per hour. But it seems logical, if the fuel gauge is in pounds per hour, that instead of having to do some mental jujitsu to determine what your fuel situation is, that if the airplane's set up in pounds, fly the whole airplane in pounds, and that's the way we choose to fly it.
It's more precise, and it's the way high-performance airplanes are generally flown. So
That's true, you get into jets and things like that.
When you get into turbine-powered equipment, you fly typically based on fuel flows in pounds per hour, and you fuel the airplane based on weight as well.
And we flew the 310 in pounds too, right?
And we flew the 310 that way for the same reason.
So we talked in our last video, I actually showed you our old 310 that we ran into by a stroke of luck down in Naples. So Dad here has been a Twin Cessna owner for 40 years now, maybe 42 years. Does that sound about right?
A little less than that. About 34 years actually. as a Twin Cessna owner.
So what is it that drew you to the Twin Cessna line? What's kept you with the airplane for so long?
Familiar with the Cessna line of products. I've flown many of the airplanes.
Echo 44 X-ray contact, New York Center 133.35.
3335, 44 X-ray, so long.
Taxi Tango, Delta, right heading 060. 060.
3335 is on number 1.
Center, good afternoon, Chancellor 2744 X-ray 1010,000.
2744 X-ray, New York Center, Roger, my altimeter is 2996.
96, 44 X-ray. Set right.
And it is set on the left.
The first Twin Cessna I owned was a 310R model. I chose that over the Baron 58 because I thought it would do everything the Baron 58 would do, but would be less costly to run. I owned that airplane for 16 years. It was always a very reliable and good performer. And when I went to move up to a pressurized cabin class twin, the choices were the Beechcraft Duke or the 400 series Cessnas. It was a much more logical progression for me to move into the 400 Cessna series, so that's what I did.
And the airplane's been very good to you, no?
I've got no complaints about the way this airplane has done over the years. It's been an exceptionally reliable airplane.
And you actually believe, I never had a chance to really fly the 310 the way I fly the 414, but you believe that the 414 is an easier airplane to fly than the 310?
I think it's an easier airplane to fly. It's a more docile performer. Now that may be because this airplane has been modified with the Ram winglets and the VGs, but this particular airplane is, I believe, an easier airplane to fly than the 310 was.
310 is a little bit more of a pilot's airplane.
This airplane is more of a management process than the 310 because it's far more complex, but in terms of the stick and rudder flying, it's an easier airplane to manage, and it generally follows the rule that the bigger they get, the easier they are to fly. That's been my experience. And Center 2744 X-ray requesting lower.
Number 2744 X-ray. Stand by. What is it, 440, clear on Gibby, cross Gibby, had to maintain 16,000.
So really quick before we start our descent here. So I'll take you over here real quick and we'll show you what we have going on. So right now we've got the course deviation indicator on the HSI set up to track direct into Elmira, which is down here, the KLN 90, which is a old school but very accurate, very reliable GPS, and that's synced up to the CDI here on the number 1 HSI, well, the only HSI. And we're flying the airplane in heading mode, so we use the heading bug to track that ourselves, and that way we don't have to let the old GPS try to calculate its own wind correction angle. We can just do that ourselves.
What's the frequency for the ATC?
Let's see. This is 2547. See Dad over there dialing the ATC, and he's going to dial that in, transfer it.
44 X-ray, we'd just like to start a descent in the Elmira area, so 10 for 8 works, and we'll take lower into
Number 44 X-ray, to maintain 6,000.
Alright, 10 for 6,000, 44 X-ray.
So we've just been given 6,000. 18.6.
18.6, 44 X-ray.
So we're going to come out of altitude hold mode. We're going to dial in our new altitude, 6,000 feet. We're going to arm that, and then we're going to come down here. And we're going to roll this pitch trim wheel nose down, which is going to lower the flight director bars. And we're going to start bringing the nose down, and there's our descent.
Okay, visual to 2-4. Victor is the current information.
Understood. So now we're just starting to reduce the power. And one thing that is very true about these big 6-cylinder reciprocating engines, especially with turbochargers, is that They are very, very, very sensitive to temperature changes. So, generally speaking, the way we manage the power and the descent is with a standard rule of thumb that we reduce the power no faster than 1 inch of manifold pressure per minute. So if you're cruising at let's call it 30 inches, and you want to bring the power back to 19 or 20 inches to enter the pattern, then you should plan for, at a minimum, 10 to 12 minutes to get the power back. And that way you don't have to worry about bringing the power back too fast and cooling the engine down too fast and shock cooling it, which leads to all sorts of issues like cracked cylinders and expensive things that you don't want to deal with. So you always reduce the power very, very slowly and very deliberately over the course of many minutes as you come down.
2744 X-ray, we are checking in, descending to 6,000. We have Victor.
2744 X-ray, south.
Descending to 8,000.
744 X-ray, right. Things altitude 2998.
908, 44 X-ray, thank you.
South left.
Stay right.
Landed on 6 last time, right?
Yeah, we're going to opposite way this time.
44 X-ray, traffic 12 to 1 o'clock, 2 miles northwestbound, altitude indication 2,300.
44 X-ray's looking.
Yeah, I don't see him. Another inch of power. We're about 30 miles from the airport now. This is another difference between Flight Simulator and the real airplane, and that is that in Flight Simulator, for some reason, the way Microsoft coded the sim many, many years ago, and this was true in all the way back to FS 2000.
44 X-ray, traffic back to contact, our approach 128.42 every day.
2842, 44 X-rays, thanks.
7 for 6. 2842.
Approach, good afternoon, Chancellor 2744 X-rays with you, descending to 6,000 with Victor.
Yes, 2744 X-ray, Elmira, approach, roger, information, Victor. I'm direct to the field for the vision point, runway 24.
Directly to the airport for the visual to 44 X-ray.
So while we're on our way down to 4,000, why don't you tell our viewers what our approach plan is into Elmira and get them up to speed and tell them about some of the obstacle considerations.
So we're going to be making a visual approach to the Elmira, New York airport from the east. The airport sits in a valley, so it has fairly high terrain, both east and west of the airport. So we have to be concerned not only about the terrain, but in addition to that, there are several, I see 5 for 4, there are several TV broadcast towers that sit up on the ridges, which serve the Binghamton, New York, Elmira area, so we have to be cognizant of the location of those towers as well. We're going to be clearing the terrain, and then we'll be descending for a left base visual approach to runway 24. Approach tower, good afternoon, Chancellor 2744 X-rays with you, visual for 24, on about 8 mile, we'll left base right now.
24, correction, 2744 X-ray, Elmira Tower. Winds are 270 at 8, runway 28 available if you'd like.
Guy in left seat says he's okay with 24, if that's okay with you.
744 X-ray, roger. Winds 24, this is correction, 270 at 10 runway 24, clear land.
Clear land, 24, thanks.
Track to 5 mile route.
crosswind.
Roger.
Okay, what are you flying for ref on your side?
I'm going to fly 100.
100 on your side, sounds good to me.
Landing flaps, please.
Landing flaps selected. Landing flaps indicated.
What was it?
23010. Down 500.
I'll have a crosswind from the left. Not going to make Charlie.
We're not going to make Charlie, sir. Can we take the next one?
Yes, 44 X-ray, turn right on runway 28, right at Alpha, taxi to the ramp maintenance frequency.
Stay with you, right on 28, right on Alpha, and we're going to Atlantic, thanks.
Are you familiar where Atlantic is?
Yes, sir, we're familiar, thank you.
Tractor 5, good to go.
Okay, that was a good job.
Thanks. Anti-collision lights are off, mixtures are back, pumps coming off. All flaps open.
Tractor 5, proceed on runway 24. Tractor 5, proceeding, thank you. 681, 905, my ground, go ahead.
Okay, match up the RPMs.
I'll have your beacon and then departure frequency for you here shortly, ready to taxi.
Alright everybody, we've made it to Elmira. That's going to go ahead in the back and start getting his stuff squared away. We're just waiting now. We have a 5-minute cool down window in the engines after we land, so we started our timer after we clear the runway, and we got to let them run for 5 minutes. And that allows the turbochargers to spool down. The bearings in the turbo are so good and so smooth, and the turbos get turning so fast that it takes 5 or 6 minutes for them to really slow down. And they're still out there and the engine's spinning away, so we wait for them to slow down and cool down a little bit while we still have the engine running, and then after 5 minutes we shut them down. Alright everyone, well, we're shutting down here, so thanks for coming along on this trip, and we'll see you next time. I always appreciate subscriptions. Give me a thumbs up or a subscription, and like I said, we're going to get to some more videos here real soon. All right? Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming along.